Greetings. Greetings to the truth seekers, the ones who refused to remain simple minded and remain in darkness, right? To the ones who refused to remain in Egypt for slavery, right? The one who chose the path of righteousness and the path of wickedness and the path of not understanding and having a positive relationship with the Most High, right? Now, for the children of God, it's like when you look at their path when it comes to this life, right? It's not an easy one. It's quite very clear from the start that it's not an easy one, and it's not meant to be an easy one, right? Because it comes to that point when you realize that we we are not really here, ladies and gentlemen, to relax and chill out, and like there is time for that, right? But what I'm saying is spiritual warfare does not stop, right? It's a continuous battle which doesn't want you to drop your guard at any point, right? You need to have the walls of heaven lifted at all times, right? So, which needs us to always be in a righteous mindset, a warrior's mindset, right? Always dressed in the armor of God at all times, right? You have to always be in meditation at all times, right? In the mind that is of God's nature, right? Now, because we are living in the 3D, ladies and gentlemen, this is what I want to talk about actually today, right? That this world automatically it's a low vibrational dimension, the physical realm, right? Now, the devil thought that he could be smart. He thought that he could outsmart the Most High, right? And when you do look around concerning the path of God's people, they'll tell you, right? They'll tell you about the things they face when coming across this world, right? When coming across um the life they live in this world. Like I already said, not an easy one. Okay. Now, how did the devil think that he's being smart? The devil thought that he's being smart by, you would find that in almost every place in this earth, right? Um, he thought he could keep God's children down and oppressed and under their feet by having his people, which are the devil workers. Some knowingly and some don't know about this, right? But he thought he could keep God's children by having his people in places of power. Whose people? The devil's people, right? Because in most cases, ladies and gentlemen, you just realize that you got people who are in places of power who are not godly, right? And because now these people are not godly, they do not know God. Now they use their power to oppress the children of God, right? It's like, it's like how Jesus was in the desert for 7 days, right? And the devil appeared and he's like, turn the stone into bread and eat, right? Trying to tempt Jesus, right? And Jesus didn't obey to the words of the devil because he knew that he's a deceiver, right? He's a liar, right? Same thing that we're going to be facing when it comes to those world, ladies and gentlemen, right? You're going to sometimes find yourself in a position where you got somebody who has money, right? And they just want you to die under the oppression of their hands just because you're depending on them, right? Just because you are dependent on them, now they want you to bow down and worship them and become their slave, right? The moment you try to point out something which is not right and which is clearly oppression or dysfunction, right? Uh, the moment you begin doing that is the moment they start pointing you out as disrespectful. Okay? So now the devil thought that he could be smart by putting his people in places of power because, ladies and gentlemen, you will look around and realize that most people who got positions of power, they are just abusers, right? It's pretty much quite very rare to find somebody who's righteous and pure at heart in a position of power for some reason. Not that they're not there, they are there, right? But then in most cases, regarding your journey, you realize that most people that you come across, they're just bullies, right? Your bosses at work, right? Sometimes your parent, right? Your teachers, your co-workers, right? Who are like your managers and your supervisors, right? And you take a close look, you realize these people are overusing their power. Just because you're a millionaire, now you think you got the guts to step on others and make others your doormat, right? Now you find these things happening, ladies and gentlemen, and it's insane. Okay, now because God, ladies and gentlemen, like I've already said, he's a super being. He's operating and he's watching, paying attention at all times. You know, it's all energy, ladies and gentlemen, right? Now, it comes a point where now these abusers, these oppressors, these um these people who use their power to step on others now get to meet a chosen one of God. And ladies and gentlemen, these people, it's only a matter of time before they reap what they sow. Because they're gonna do stuff to you, right? They're gonna abuse you. They're gonna they're gonna do all these stuff to you, ladies and gentlemen. They're gonna oppress you. They're gonna sometimes most of you guys had to go unpaid, right? Where like everybody else is paid at work and you're the only one who's not paid. And you ask yourself the question, why me? Right? And it's all the devil targeting you and trying to think that they can get you to give up, right? And ladies and gentlemen, you are going to endure such. Your path is not a simple path, right? This is why when I started this video, I was talking about how you're gonna have to learn how to put on your armor, right? To put on your godly mindset, right? To operate out of a righteous mindset, but at the same time, don't let not letting these people think that they can come and walk all over you. Okay? Because you see, God, when it comes to God, He gave you a voice, right? He gave you authority to trample over scorpions and snakes. Okay? Now, you cannot let these snakes and these scorpions trample over you and bite you and torture you to your death. Because it's only a matter of time, ladies and gentlemen, before they realize that they have bitten more than they can chew. Okay? It's only a matter of time before they realize that they have touched and they have touched the anointed one. And what does the word of God say? Touch. You can touch, but not the anointed. Right? Because, ladies and gentlemen, you'd never wish. You would never wish that, like, these people, ladies and gentlemen, think that they can poke and push and pull and and do this and do that and drag this, and they think that nothing, they can just get away with everything. Right? They think they can come and bully you and play boss in your life. The boss that you look at and all you see is a child who never grew mentally, right? Who's still operating out of the most lowest vibrations you could ever imagine. Hate, envy. And what's there to envy if somebody's your boss and he's a millionaire? I mean, what's there to envy in you? And they see that you are still trying to build your way up, right? They see that you are even that employee, you are that slave, and you're trying to make 1 and 2 meet. Ladies and gentlemen, this should tell you a lot about who you are, right? It should tell you a lot about who you are. When you see somebody who is already bigger than you, who's already accumulated 10 times the things that you have, and you just still see them coming against you and coming at you and trying by all means to keep you down, then best believe you'll come up and it'll shake nations. Okay? And make sure you come up because they can never keep you down. That's one thing they're gonna learn. They're gonna try and try and try and try to make sure they keep you beneath their feet. It can never happen because it was never your position at the get go, right? Now, ladies and gentlemen, I want to tell you, God Nation, that we are here, we are around. We know your struggles. Because you see, when it comes to God's people, their path is pretty much the same. They do not know that by doing these things, they're actually building a weapon they can never stop. They are building something that they will never be able to hide away from. Because this is God at work. This is God's judgment in place. And ladies and gentlemen, they're gonna have nowhere to hide. Because it says, don't take part in the unfruitful works of darkness, but rather expose them. Okay? Expose them. Let other people see how evil and darkness is hiding amongst people that sometimes they worship and think that they're heroes. While behind closed doors, these people are actually chaotic and wicked, right? And abusers and oppressors, right? Now, ladies and gentlemen, stay prayed up, stay meditated, be strong, right? I want to end this video here, but you understand what I'm trying to tell you, right? The path is not a simple one, but the path is going to need you to trust in the Most High and to stand up. Stand up, raise your head above the waters, and walk like a king that you are meant to be. Okay? Your destiny is bigger than you think. Now, hang in there, ladies and gentlemen. They cannot keep you down. They cannot stop you. Right? Your God is the God of all gods. Okay? Now, stay prayed up, stay meditated, stay focused, be strong. Peace. Be blessed.